Welcome to the Independent Artist Podcast, sponsored by the National Association of Independent Artists.
Also sponsored by Zapplication. I'm Will Armstrong, and I'm a mixed media artist.
I'm Douglas Sigworth, glassblower. Join our conversations with professional working artists. Well, hello, my friend. You are looking a lovely shade of green this afternoon.
Don't tempt me. I can keep stuff down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had a little salmonella over the weekend.
Jeez.
That was, I've had it before. Went down to actual art shows to do, I was headed to Fort Myers, I think it was.
Okay.
And had a week to kill in between and ended up having a bad oyster. It's almost like the dog, like trying to get something out of the dog's mouth. And it's like, no, I'm eating this cat turd. And it's just, I don't know why. Like my mouth just kind of went into overdrive, and it just kind of took over and did its job and swallowed that oyster, and it got right there in my throat. I'm like, oh, that's a bad one.
That's not good.
That's bad.
Oh.
And it didn't shake me off the oysters, but I think it was egg or salad greens, something. I don't know.
Either way, it puts you on a weight loss routine, right, for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Am I looking a little thinner?
You are.
A little cheekbony.
Looking pretty good, man.
Yeah, man. It's Will's weight loss program. 5 pounds in 3 days, my friend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it is good to see you, even if you are suffering a bit. It seems like it's been quite a while since we've touched base. Last show, Bayou City.
That's funny. It does feel like a while, but I did just see you a couple weeks ago, or was it 1 week? How long ago?
Well, I think I've lived a lot of life since we were in Houston together, so this will be a good opportunity to catch up a bit.
Absolutely. It was a one-day show, really, right?
It's kind of turned out that way, yeah.
Typically, it's a big full weekend, but with the rain and everything else that was going on there in Houston, it just, it ended up being incredible for me Saturday, and then literally nothing on Friday, and then eked out a few on Sunday. So I had a good weekend.
Tell me what you think about this. I never really felt like it like downpoured. It was like it just drizzled on those days that they said it was going to rain, and it would have been fine for most people, but the weather person scared people away.
It depends on the crowd. Like I was at a show in Indianapolis one time. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe is Talbot Street an Indiana show?
Yeah, yes it is.
Yeah, it was Talbot Street years ago, and I was like, I looked at the weather in the morning, and I was like, oh, sweet. Looks like I'm packing up early, and because it was one of those where you look out the hotel window and you could see the pattern of the wind and the rain, just like you can see it just like washing. I mean, it's just buckets coming down, and I'm like, all right, looks like I'm going to pack it up early. Went down there. The streets were jammed, like nothing, no umbrellas, no raincoats. They're just standing out there, baby carried, baby drowning.
As long as they were pulling out wet dollar bills out of their pockets, that's all we care about.
Exactly. Just pulling out of undies. Like, what's that show in Virginia Beach where they're like, do you take these wet undies out of
the bikini tops?
Top of my bikini? Jesus. It's a nasty one.
Oh, man. It ended up being a pretty decent show for us, too, but this isn't typical for us, but we had after sales. Do you typically get
aftershocks?
Aftershocks. Yeah, we had some after sales going on. Yeah.
Nice. Good. That's great to hear. I typically do. I've been following that Dolan and Allie Marie Gaiman plan and keeping the book with me. I guess it's a Dahlquist. She preaches that as well about following every lead. Chris Dahlquist, amazing photographer we had on first season. But like taking that book, keeping it in my back pocket and writing down the leads and following up on the people. I only had one really, and I'm still, we're still in the foreplay stage, but we'll see if I can close it.
Well, coming up here, a future episode, I did a recording here because I'm going to be heading out quick, so I needed to get an episode under my belt. I talked to Julia Gilmore, and that's one of her techniques. She says she will get people's names, and she will keep contacting them until they either tell her that they've changed their mind and they don't want to go that route, or they buy a painting. And that's really interesting because I've always been a little bit afraid that I'm going to be bugging somebody to death to, it's like maybe they're blowing me off or something. But, it's that fine line.
That's interesting. Well, I wonder if she can get away with it more because of who she is. Like, I feel like I feel like it's like I'm on the dating plan.
Dating
I
plan.
mean, you remember a long time ago where like you go and you ask somebody on a date. Like I would ask somebody on a date, and if they didn't want to go, I was like, next.
Oh, right.
Like that was it.
Right. I mean, because that can be
one dip
overbearing
at
and
the
all
well.
that kind of stuff, and it can be off-putting for sure. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I did send one email back to this guy, and he was like, hey, I'm having remorse. I should have picked up this painting. Do you still have it? Yes, I do. When's a good time to talk? Because that's another trick I picked up from guests of the show. But Signe and Genna are like, don't talk money on the email. Get them on the phone, because you got to close it on the phone to close it, because otherwise they're thinking and you don't know what they're thinking, and you can hear it in their voice, etc. So I tried to get them on the phone, and I think that might have scared them off a little bit. And now I'm kind of in like, hey, do you remember me? Tex, I sure did have fun last night. I thought you were really handsome. So,
would you like to swipe is it swipe left or swipe right for yes? But whatever.
You know what? I don't know.
I don't either.
I said that to my wife one time, and I was like, what is it? Swipe. She was like, she just patted my leg. She's like, you never need to know about that.
I'm protecting you from all of that, honey.
Right.
We had a pretty good weekend. We had a good neighborhood. It was nice seeing everybody again. I hadn't been at a show for 9 frickin' months.
Yeah,
so I mean, it was really great to be out there.
That was really nice. We had some guests of the show kind of in our neighborhood, and then some young, kind of up and coming artists too that I could really got a kick out of seeing. I don't know what that kind of wave was, but I definitely felt like there was some new talent in the neighborhood. Nice. I thought there was some really cool folks, kind of traditional / contemporary African basket weaving. There's some painting that was happening.
Nice.
It was a cool neighborhood mixed in with some old friends and made some new.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Anyway, yeah, it was an interesting show. Here's an incident that's never happened to me before.
Oh, yeah?
So I had my booth set up with an opening in the back because I had back stock. And they shoehorn you into that show pretty well.
That's for sure.
I mean, they give you 10 feet and that's it. Like
I think my neighbor got 9'8" because they were the last one to show up. But yeah, or 9 foot, 11 and a half or something like that.
Well, I was trying to push in because my spatial recognition is pretty good at this point. I could tell you what 10 feet is. Like
okay.
They'll tell you like you're taking an exit, and they're like, the exit is in 600 feet. I'm like, ooh, that's 60 art show booths. And so
it's
anyway,
all in
I'm
reference to that.
Yeah, better merge. Anyway, I've got a double booth at this show, and I put a little partition in the back that you could get to the backstock. So it's a little door, and it looked real inviting to a gentleman that he just was like stumbling in, this real old guy, and just went right through the back of my booth. I was like, excuse me, sir. And his wife goes, he's going back there to pee. I was like, he
ain't.
And I ran back there. I was like, what I was like, put that back in your pants, sir. Get out of here. And I laid into
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So I know it was really nasty. I was really mad. I was pissed.
Yeah. But bump.
So no, I don't know, man. I'm like, if you can't make it 10 extra steps to the porta-john that I could see, or you can't ask somebody about it, then you need to be wearing a diaper. They make products for that, sir. Hit
Absolutely.
the road. Get your hillbilly ass out of here.
Yeah, right. Well, I think it comes with that age. I think there's a little bit of the dementia starts to set in, and all of those things that we remind ourselves as social rules, they go out the window.
I guess. I mean, but I kind of always thought that would like apply itself to like cutting past the velvet rope while they're making an install at the museum. I'm old. I know I might not make it. I'm going in now. Like, maybe that kind of thing. But like, I don't know. It was
peeing behind your booth. Not so good.
I don't know. It just makes you feel bad about your life decisions, doesn't it? Like it just makes me like, whatever. Nobody's going into my brother-in-law's law office and taking a whiz in his potted plants.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I've had. Luckily, I had a nice long soaking rain after that, so it washed everything down, and everything went
starting out fresh.
All fresh like a daisy.
Cool. Well, we actually, like how in the past things have always kind of been similar and predictable. And we've just had like these new experiences just kind of like pop up that we're just like kind of go with. Like, for example, Sunday at like 3 p.m, we looked at each other and we said, you know what? Instead of driving all the way home and driving all the way back, which was our plan, let's book a flight. So I booked a flight home 3 p.m. for the next day. And
Very
I mean,
nice.
it was just like, boom, just like that. It had the thought and we did it.
Yeah, high roller. Look at you. Just
Well,
chartered a jet.
I wish. Right. I actually did think of that aspect. I thought of the money aspect, and I sat down and I calculated the gas mileage and how many miles it was to home. And if it was maybe like $50 more for an airline ticket than to actually drive, and you factor in the time, it's a no-brainer at that
Even
point.
the day
So,
before. Like even buying it the day before.
The day
with
before.
gas prices and everything.
absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really reasonable.
And tell you want to tell everybody the big plan that I hooked you up with, or
That
should I
is
tell
why
them?
I decided, by the way, to fly home. But I thought this was one of the Will Armstrong
Right on.
secrets that I wasn't allowed to divulge. So yes, tell the
Now I'll
secret.
tell you, because it's the same. That doesn't matter if you get stacked up behind whatever. So what you got to do, you go to the dealer.
Mhm,
It's always
yeah.
the dealer, right? And you go to the dealer and you put your van in there and you get an oil change. And yeah, they're going to charge you twice as much for an oil change, but they also have like 4 times the security. They're not going to cut your catalytic
True.
converter out underneath. They're going to put it in a fenced-in area. Happens to you every time. Also, the dealer, pick the dealer closest to the airport, and they've got a shuttle. They'll take you to the
Well,
airport.
that was a
So
beautiful suggestion. We did it. It worked out perfectly, and that's exactly what we did.
Nice.
Yeah. So for
Good man.
$25 oil change, that offset the whole parking for 3 weeks.
$25. Okay, 19.
I don't know. I'm pulling a number out of my hat.
If it would cost you $200, if it cost you anything on that big
No,
van.
it actually wasn't that expensive. But anyway, it was reasonable.
Okay.
It was better than 3 weeks of parking. So there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, 3 weeks. It's somewhere you're paying. You know, your money's going towards something, right?
Right.
It's going towards an oil change. Get your tires rotated. Get a little spit polish.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Not only did we come out of it with an oil change, we're leaving with a new van
Hey, from that
dealership.
That dealer.
They had
Goddamn.
They had one that came in the night before I called and checked on it. We bought it over the phone with texting, photos, and all that bullshit. So
awesome.
we're going to
That's
be
what
driving
you
out of there with
needed.
a whole new van. We're going to sell our trailer. Sweet.
Good
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, so we flew home just in time to get another Wisconsin blizzard. We
so
had
sick of this.
a foot of snow, heavy snow, lost power for overnight, and broke like 50 trees in our yard. So it was a fucking nightmare.
50?
Well, we're in a wooded area.
Huh.
We got to have some major tree cleanup come out.
That's not cheap either.
No.
Welcome to homeownership.
True.
Hey, before we change the subject off of Bayou, I wanted to talk to you. It gives me a good opportunity to bring up the subject of breakdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So Bayou doesn't have it easy. I mean, they really don't.
No.
I mean, it's like it's one trail that goes in. Sometimes it's like right off of a cliff. You know, it's a big
Oh.
slope behind the booth. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's one way in, one way out. Everybody has to go on the same route. Everybody has to go in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nightmare.
And if it's
they don't have it easy.
clogged, the whole thing stops. I mean, really.
Right. Yeah, right. So that being said, it is the most, like, I've done hundreds of shows, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing shows full time since 2002.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we didn't recognize my 20th year last year, but
Okay.
you know, we have big. Where's my cake?
Yeah, there you go.
But where's my watch, Douglas? Where's my watch?
Well, next
But,
will come your retirement, so let's just keep it rolling.
That's right. I've definitely got that on the books. All right. So, like, I've done, you know, take Atalaya, a beautiful little show down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's a lot of craft and a lot of locals, and it's a charming little show. It's inside of a castle, like
Really?
where this artist used to live, and they've got kind of the ruins of this castle that you're going in. It's not like a one story, and some people say it's like, well, it's ambitious to call it castle. I'm like, no, F you. It's cool. It's a cool little location. And it's got this courtyard and the stone wall around it. And I've been at that show when a hurricane was coming through, and you're dollying in on this one little pathway all the way through, and everybody's using the same thing.
Okay.
They don't micromanage it at all. They just, just get out of here.
Still,
here's the doors.
Yeah.
Here are the doors that you can come in. Here are the doors that you have to leave. And they don't do anything. We all respect each other for the most part. I generally believe in self-policing, though. Like not a lot of micromanaging. I really don't like micromanaging. And what do you think could be done about the breakdown with Bayou?
Well, I thought about that. I thought about this situation because I know, for example, there were a lot of folks whose plan was to kind of pre-pack and come back the next day.
Me too.
So there was a whole lineup of people that couldn't move because they weren't letting anybody move. And it would have just been helpful if there was, because it's really not that far of a trek from the back parking to the exit. Like, you're leaving, go. You're pulling in to load up, wait. Let the next one through. You're leaving, go. I think that would have been more effective because so many people just were stuck back there.
Sure.
To start getting the people who are leaving out of there so you can thin out the amount of vans waiting. Right. I think that would have been efficient.
I don't want to, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. I thought Nohelia, the Nohelia Vargas, the new director, thought she was charming. I thought she was level-headed.
She was great. Yeah.
I thought it was great that she came by and introduced herself to every single artist.
And saved my ass several times with the golf cart. I got away from my booth and she picked me up in the golf cart and took me back to my little my booth home.
It's like a dog it got out of his yard.
Oh, come on. Let's get the old guy back to his booth.
Hang on. I think I know who owns this guy. Hang on. Renee, is this yours?
She's like, where's our lunch? I'm like, I couldn't get there.
Yeah, it's tough. But anyway, I thought she was charming. This is just, with any kind of show, the less micromanaging you have, the better. Honestly, it would be smoother if they did nothing. That's a bold statement, but I honestly think, okay, here's the direction that you have to go because you can't have like the one asshole in the
blocking the
RV who just takes a left and everybody else is going right.
Yeah.
But you got to go, okay, everything's going this direction. If you want to be super particular about it, get a loadout pass. If once you're completely broken down, do not ever stop the people that want to break down super fast. If you can break down, you got your, Sharon Spiller wasn't at the show, but you got your Sharon Spillers. You ever been her neighbor?
She's gone.
She can break down that booth in 15 minutes. Get her freaking van in there and get her out of the way because then you got somewhere to park.
Is she one of those that says goodbye to you 20 minutes before the show ends because she's not talking to you once the flag drops and you're ready to get the fuck out of there?
She is a machine. Like that. If there's any newbie artists out there, find a show Sharon's doing and watch her break down. It is a thing of beauty.
I love it.
It's amazing. Yeah. The people that can break down early, just let them do it and don't interview everybody about how you're going to do it. Just freaking let them go.
Yeah, right.
Let my people go.
But that was a little bit, and I mean, we're being constructive. I mean, it's a positive. We want to help.
It's a great show. It's a killer market.
It's a great show. Houston is awesome. So we don't want to, we don't want to be wet blanket or anything, but there are improvements that can be made.
And a great new director.
Absolutely.
Too.
So
I get to my first show of the year, right? I mean, it's been, I guess, what is it, a 14-hour drive, 13. I got 10 in the first day, got up super early. So, I don't know, I'm getting to the show around 11:30 or 12 to set up the day before at Bayou.
Yeah.
I had rented a white van. So, typically I've got that big truck, but I'd rented a white van because I had to. And car troubles. But alert goes off on my phone. Amber Alert.
Okay.
It says that some little girl has been kidnapped. She's in dire straits. I don't know the wording, whatever.
Yeah.
But there at the bottom of the Amber Alert, it says, unmarked white van without state plates.
And that would be Will Armstrong's van.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I'm looking around the parking lot. I'm like, I think I count about 42 of these, just looking. I'm like, that's bad news, Houston. You're going to get a lot of missed calls on that one.
Oh, man.
And then I got into the show, and I'm like, I try to be nice. I try to be kind, and I get in line for the thing, and I'm like waiting.
So you're talking registration when you're in the hotel? Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Let me wait in line again, and I got I've been there for 5 minutes, first show of the year, and I already tell somebody to go fuck themselves.
You can't keep it in, can you?
Well, I don't. I just, I think that's the.
You'd be like,
I just was like, hey, somebody asked me about a show that I didn't get into. And I'm like, how come you're not going? I was like, that is like asking a woman why she doesn't have kids.
oh,
Like, you don't freaking do that. Like, it's just one of those things you do. You don't ask a woman if she's pregnant. She has to tell you first.
Right.
That's part of my code, right? It's part of like just living. The other one is like, how come you don't have kids? You never ask a woman that either, or a man. It's just you just don't.
Right.
You know what people are dealing with. How come you decided not to go back to this show? I'm like, I decided.
Someone decided for me.
Yeah. Well, a group of 5 of my peers got together and sat down and decided I was a piece of shit. Thanks. Thanks for asking. Thanks
Not
for
my
pushing
year.
me on that.
Not my year.
And then she also asked, she's like, please don't put this on the podcast. And I was like, oh, it's going on the podcast.
This is going on the podcast.
I don't have any control. But anyway, I met some lovely people. New folks, some fans of the show came by. I thought that was sweet.
That was really nice.
Words.
I mean, I feel like I've been in a bit of a bubble for the last 9 months out of the social in-person thing. And it was just really nice to look into people's eyes and talk to them again and have, it's different than sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. And
well, you got to get that ego stroke. Even if you don't have the greatest show in the world, people come by and tell you you're great is not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's good for the mood. That's for sure.
Well, it's necessary. You need that's part of that yin and the yang. It's like the introvert of the studio time, and then the extrovert of getting out there and being told you're so wonderful. You're so beautiful, Douglas. You're so lovely. Look at him, everybody.
I know.
He's right there.
Can't help it.
All right. So yeah, so another thing that happened. I was going to ask you. I can't seem to crack the jury on the show, but you got any thoughts on Jazz Fest going cashless?
Well, I mean, that is something people have been talking about. I mean, I take them at their word. I mean, I believe that if they say it's about wanting to cut down on theft, fine. I mean, it's okay. I mean, do you get a lot of cash at the shows?
No.
I hardly get any cash.
I never take cash.
Never, ever.
I have never taken cash,
None.
Douglas.
No.
I don't take cash because I don't like to have the target on my back of having cash in hand.
Cash is...
What?
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 What? I was standing on the corner of Ontario and LaSalle in downtown Chicago.
Oh, right.
You ever been to that hot corner?
But if I saw you standing on that corner getting paid cash, I'd be a little worried for you.
It's me, then a guy counting out $3,000 in 10s and 20s that looks like he pulled it out of his food truck.
You're like, no, we're good. We're good. I'll count it later. We're good.
We're good. And then on the other side, there's a guy who has put a couple of quarters into the newspaper box, taken the stack out, and is selling newspapers that he's stolen.
All right.
And he's like, 10, 20, 30. I was like, get in the fucking booth, dude. This was like, you got to be kidding me.
Back of the booth. Then you can count it out.
That was back in the day when I took cash.
A long time ago.
I don't take cash anymore.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of counterfeit bills floating around there. There's a lot of people doing their thing. I don't have any problem with a show doing however they wanted to do it.
No, I don't either. And I mean, you see pictures of people standing, shoulder to shoulder. Pickpockets are there. Artists, vendors, whatever, different booths are there of different types were marks. So, I mean, a woman wrote on social media that she watched a neighbor go to zip up her tent one night and she kind of fell off of her stool, which was a big deal. And people were helping her, but in the chaos, somebody ran into her booth, stole her money bag and ran. I mean, so this stuff is real. It's not like it's just like an anomaly or anything. It's real.
Yeah, it happens all the time. We're marks, so
yeah.
I don't have any problem with it. Jazz Fest lets me in the show and be like, you're going to have to wear taps, and every 2 hours you're going to have to come out and do a little dance with a bow tie and no pants. I'm like, okay.
Will do,
yes,
sir.
Ma'am. Here we go. Da, 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 da. I don't know, man. Whatever you want to do. I just don't care.
That's right.
Try not to get too worked up about it.
Right. And like you said, I mean, it's a show that we want to do. So it's like if they say this is the way it's going to be, okay, all right, that's fine.
I don't see. I don't like to make controversy where there's no controversy, and I'm certainly no conspiracy theorist.
True. So hey, I would like to tell you that it is. It's never a good idea to go on to Dr. Google and just start looking up stuff that you are wondering about. Oh, let's say like certain joint fusions in your ankle, that sort of thing. Have you ever used Google to solve your medical mysteries?
Oh, yes, I have a torn rotator cuff, brain cancer, I'm losing my hearing, I got glaucoma coming in.
Oh, don't forget about the balding part.
Oh, the balding? That's part of the brain cancer. It's my tumor. It's just eating through and giving me this flesh yarmulke.
Right.
It's always wanted me to just have like that little disc, that monk's disc back there.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, anyway, what do you got there?
I looked up one of my joint fusions in my ankle. I looked up a talonavicular fusion. And I watched this cadaver foot get surgery on it. They showed all of the steps and the drilling the screws into the. Let's just say I got a little less impatient with my healing after watching that one. It was just intense.
That's nuts. I looked at the medieval torture device that they use to bring the Achilles back together. It's like these reverse pliers that they've got like multiple people on either side of this thing, like pulling. Like physically pulling it back together. I'm like, okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, you've been through the ringer. It's like your foot and your leg are going through a divorce.
They are.
You're gonna feel pain for a year.
Yeah,
that's what my therapist told me. It's like it's gonna hurt for a year, and then after the year, you're gonna be okay.
I think if I would have remembered the doctor telling me that this was going to be a year-long process, I would have maybe reconsidered, but now it's like I'm into it, so there's no turning thing back. But yeah, my last doctor's appointment, the first thing, the good news was your surgery was a 10 out of 10. You're doing great. I'm like, but the pain, but the limping, but the cane, all of the stuff that is making me get, like a spiral in my head about, that things aren't going well. And he said, well, like I told you, this is going to be a year-long recovery. And I'm like you told me when.
They were not. Doctors suck at that stuff.
They do.
That's one thing that I've learned. They don't necessarily have to, especially surgeons, don't necessarily have to. I mean, some have amazing bedside manner, but some are like, I did the job. Now you go do the job of the physical therapist.
That's
like you're in the hands of the next person.
Totally.
Especially in modern medicine, like right now, it's like pinhole camera. I fix foot. Now move on. That guy makes foot feel better. Like it's not my job.
Yeah.
So you got to be patient. So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
This might be for sweeps week at the end of the year. But I make a lot of sweeps week jokes, but there's no sweeps week in this.
No, there is not.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, my question is, do you think you'll do that for the next foot?
It'll happen eventually, for sure. But my whole timeline of when it can happen, because I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive to take this much time off and to take the amount of breaks that I need to take. Like on our way down to Houston, I started to have a bit of a panic attack. And because it took so much out of me to get enough work made to get off to the first show. Yeah. And it physically wiped me out just setting up, let alone doing the show, tearing it down, getting home again. The panic attack came on when I was like, oh, it's not like I get to go home now and take like a week break or something. the treadmill is running and I have to keep up with it because I've got another lineup of shows. So, I mean, that whole keeping that pace up was starting to get me a little uptight, but I've settled in. I'm finding my rhythm and things are going to go well. So I'm not where I was 2 weeks ago, and I am seeing little baby steps of getting better. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep on the treadmill. It's the only choice you got.
Oh,
right?
God, no kidding. We used to say hamster wheel, but this one just feels like the treadmill.
Yeah. You got a little carrot.
It's called money. I'm like, bank account's empty, hemorrhaging money. Gotta keep going. Gotta keep going.
Gotta feed the monster.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
This episode of the Independent Artist Podcast is brought to you by Zap, the digital application service where artists and art festivals connect.
Well, sometimes I'm in a real hurry, and I just love that I have things that are saved in Zap to streamline my process.
Saving shows as favorites is my personal way of using Zap. That's my favorite. I know a lot of people use the calendar, they use the events, but for me, if I'm saving the favorites of anything I've ever looked at or thought about doing, then I can check out those deadlines on a regular basis.
But then there's other times when I have a little more time on my hands and I'm looking into other shows. All the information is right there in the prospectus with links to the website. I can see who the artists are that have participated in the past.
That's a great idea, Douglas, because one of the ways that I was finding shows at the very beginning was to go online and see who I felt my work looked good with.
It's just great that all that information is organized and easy to look over when planning our next show season.
So, I thought I'd take this time of the show, and I don't know whether it's a good opportunity to do this or not, but no time like the present, and I don't think we've done this year. Mm-hmm. Kind of break down like what sponsorship means for the show. And obviously we have two different sponsors for the show. The news and views that you hear broadcast on the Independent Artist Podcast are clearly and solely the ownership of the
podcast owners.
Podcast owners.
The two of us.
You and I, you were very smart when we first started this podcast. You were like, we own this. It's just you and me. We don't want to answer to a whole, a board of directors or whatever that they're like, I didn't like that you said this. We don't want to run our edits past anybody at the NAIA or Zap. It's like, this is the product and this is what we say.
We're independent. We stand by what we think and what we feel, but ultimately it's us. It's not It's not a board. It's not a sponsor. It's what we think, and it's our experiences, and the guests that we choose to talk to are people that we want to hear their story and share it with the world. So we are not an extension of any other. We're not a mouthpiece for any other organization.
Right. And so Zap, our good friends at Zapplication, it's obviously it's a sponsor that you and I both believe in, and we wouldn't have them if we did not. They offer a great service, but they are our monetary backers. Yes. And they back us each week, and we're happy to get on and toe the company line on that one because we believe in the company. It's one that we all use.
And extremely appreciative of the fact that they want to support us and that they want they value what we have to say and what we are putting out to the artist community and the industry.
Yeah, they're giving back to the community through the sponsorship of this show.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Can they get better? Hell yeah, they can get better. Are they getting better? Every year, sure. Yes. They're always making little changes and tweaks, of course. And anyway, next is NAIA, the National Association of Independent Artists. You and I are both on the board there of that. I don't go to any meetings, but it's
become hard for all of the board members because just being professional artists is a frickin' hustle. And so we do what we can on our volunteer time, all of us, to help promote the art fair industry. And that's really what we're there for.
Anyone can be a part of the NAIA. Mm-hmm. It is not a membership.
No.
It is an advocacy group. It's just a ragtag group of people that maybe never even have dinner together. It's like, hey, I want to be involved. I want to be involved. It's like, our good friend Ben Fry, I've known him for years, asked me to be a member of the board some time back.
Yeah.
I don't think he's regretting it yet, but it's just it's a group that steps up and is a voice for people that need a voice. Be like, hey, this happened. Can you help me out here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
We act as a board that takes observations from the art show world, and we communicate the needs of our industry to shows, to the community, to whatever, anything that can help the economic stability of artists who want to show their work at art shows. So whether you feel you're a member or a part of the forum or just somebody who goes to shows, you're benefiting from the fact that NAIA identifies things that could make the industry better and advocates in that regard.
Right. Sure. So they were on board when Zap came around, and they were on board when lots of different things have happened, whether it's a controversy with somebody filming somebody's booth, somebody stepped in and were like, hey, I'm not comfortable advocating for myself anymore because I'm being called names by these people, and this is happening and that's happening. So basically it boils down to this. You and I both believe in the group, so we give NAIA free sponsorship. All boats rise as one. You know, they've got a voice. We have a voice. We believe in what they're doing. Most of the folks there believe in what we are doing. So maybe not everything I say.
Well,
but who the hell does?
Right. Well, one of the things that we have offered as being part of this partnership with the NAIA is to talk about the advocacies and the things that they're working on so that we can share that. It doesn't mean that is we are that. We are, you know what I mean? We are not the board. We are not NAIA. We are us, but we will talk about, for example, the work that's being done with emerging artists and helping shows build emerging artist programs. That is an important part of our industry to get younger people into the art show world and becoming earners on their art.
And keeping the shows fresh.
Keeping the shows fresh, right.
I thought it was really cool to walk around Bayou this past, a couple weeks ago, and to walk around and see so many younger, fresh-faced artists. I'm like, man.
New blood. New and exciting work. I mean, some of this work that's coming out is just like, we haven't seen this stuff out there, and it's so great to have that kind of, like, she wasn't at this show, but like Kina Crow's niece, Hannah Flower. It's so great to see a young person with her kind of talent being able to be in the emerging artist shows last year, and now she's getting into amazing shows. Her lineup this year is going to be great right out of the gate. So it's really important. Yeah,
and so that is one of the reasons that we're having Camille Marchese come on to the show. She had a really successful emerging artist program that went on, and she handled it a little bit differently, and I'm excited to talk to her about it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Artists sometimes don't work together, but this particular program, she got a lot of people on board, and it really seemed to work out. So I'm excited.
I know that the initiative that her and Cindy Lyric worked on for this was the fact that in the past, a lot of emerging artist programs were, okay, you're good enough to be in the emerging artist program. Here's a booth, figure it out. And this is the next step. It's a little bit of hand-holding. It's a little bit of mentoring and teaching and really helping them to launch. And that's what we need. We need to have new blood be able to launch and get into this market.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy mentoring. I've mentored a couple of different people. I've got a photographer that I'm mentoring right now that, super talented, but he needs to hone it a little bit. And the display doesn't exist. He's not ready for prime time, but it's like, okay, Virginia shows, we can get this. This is where he lives. So it's like, this is happening. But I love that particular thing. I've got 21 years of experience now, and I've done craft. I've done finer art. I've done some illustration, and I found my way. And I
have lots of experience to pass on that can hit or not hit, but all the same, it's a generosity to be able to share with each other.
Yeah, that's part of what NAIA does, and I believe in it.
I do. So I believe in that too. Absolutely.
And I don't know. You look at that group. What do we got? Like, you and me and Ben Fry and Farhana and Amy Landsberg. Diane French has been around forever doing every different kind of art show.
Evan,
we've got
Evan
some
and
new
Reiko
blood.
and
Evan Reinheimer and Reiko. Killer group of just a ragtag group of people that all believe in all boats rising as one.
Yeah, those are the artists. And then for show directors, Sharon Tanner and Cindy Lyric and Camille Marchese kind of give us the balance, give us the other side of the thing. So if it's like, are we getting a little over our skis here as artists? And they can say, well, here's the balance, here's the flip, here's what it's like from this other side of the industry.
Yeah.
So we can kind of work together.
Am I just angry here because this guy's a douchebag? Or
are you talking about yourself there, Will? Are you the douchebag?
I'm not the douchebag.
You're not the douchebag.
I'm not the douchebag. There's a douchebag out there.
Well,
There's
hey,
a douchebag.
This was kind of weird. So, have you ever gotten like weird vibes from a hotel? Like you stop for the night, it's sun's starting to go down. You're starting to feel like, if I go much further, there won't be anything down the line, so I'm going to stop here. And there's really no reason that you should have these weird vibes about the place. But something about it just gives you the frickin' creeps. Like somebody died in that room, or you're gonna get robbed or murdered or something.
Oh yeah, I listen to those all the time. It happens to me a lot of times in sushi restaurants. If I get a bad vibe, I've been known. I'm like, the temperature is not right in here. I don't like the carpet. I gotta get out of here. So yes, that happens. I'll get bad, and it's not haunted as much as it is just I'm a little salmonella gun shy.
Then you're like, oh my God, I just ate a bad oyster. I think I'm gonna be sick.
That's right.
So being home here for a couple of weeks, getting ready for the next show, we got called up for a couple of wait lists.
Attaboy.
Yeah, so it was good, but it was also like, you kind of have your head on a plan for what you're gonna do. And then you're like, well, do I cancel a show I have existing to take this other show that I would have rather been in? Do I try and fit it all in? I mean, how do you handle stuff like that?
Narcissistically.
You take it all?
Yeah, I think you got to go for the one that you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've committed to shows where I'm like, I mean, if it's a super biggie, then I know where my loyalties are going to lie. I'm like, I got to go with the proven
track record
one.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I have been offered, like, would you take a terrible space in your favorite show or a great space in a show that you don't typically do as well in?
Yeah.
And I don't know. You want to be on Broadway, you want to be off Broadway,
there
right?
You go, yeah.
I mean, be on Broadway every time. So you got to do what's right for yourself, as long as you're not, I don't know. The best thing you can do is, as soon as you figure it out, let the other show know. It's like, dear John, I've decided.
Yes. It isn't going to work out this time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we accepted, and we're going to let the chips fall where they may, because, we loaded it up, and we can't make opportunities appear out of thin air. But if we've overcommitted ourselves, then, I guess, like you said, it's not our job to do art shows. It's our job to sell the artwork we've created, right?
That's the great quote I got from my buddy Matthew Nafsker, our friend Matthew. He's like, our job is not to do art shows.
Yeah.
So I was talking to an artist who got into a huge show this year, and I don't want to mention her by name because I'm gonna make fun of her.
Okay, there you go. We're gonna preface it with a warning.
Oh yeah, I'm not mentioning her by name because I'm gonna shit on her business model. All right, she was talking about holding back. She's like, well, I'm gonna hold back so that I have this work to show at this other show, and I'm like, your job is just to sell it all, right? Right. So if you sell it all at the first show of the year, you're done.
There you go.
Take a nap, regroup later in the summer. We've all been to an art show and seen, unless you're a photographer, you can't just reload and restock the booth. You can do a show every weekend. And I'm not trashing on photographers. They have their own
unique business model, right?
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
I'm helping you out here, Will. Putting words in your mouth.
I was like, how do I say this? Like, I got a lot of friends out there. All right, but they can it's going to take some time, especially if they're not digital, to run the whole process and go through the framing. That being said, I can't reload.
Yeah.
It takes me a long time per painting. I gotta take some time. If I sold out at Bayou, do you think I'd be gnashing my teeth that I didn't hold back some work for these next shows? I'll sit in my studio.
Right.
So anyway, she was like, "Don't worry, I've held back work for this and that, so I'll make sure that I still have a show." I'm like, why would you go to so many shows if you can sell them all in one or two?
Just sell it, baby. Just
sell it, because who's to say?
Right?
Like, you go to the show and you got perfect weather. And the show that you're holding it back for, somebody walks by and has something in mind, and I don't believe in holding it back.
I mean,
Sell it all.
It's kind of like what happened to us on Sunday in Houston at the last show. We are doing 2 Houston shows. One's a suburb, one was in the heart of Houston. A lot of the art buying people might go to both. And I'm not usually a fan of going back to a same spot. It's like, find me here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but those are pretty far off. I mean, that's like doing a show in Richmond and doing a show in Charlottesville. I mean, they're so far apart. You're talking about Bayou and the Woodlands.
But on Sunday, I noticed like at 3:00 on Sunday, there was an influx of interested people. Our crowd was there.
Okay.
And I was really reticent to be like, like they felt like, well, they're not just going to walk in and just drop $5,000 just like that. They needed to settle in. It needed to land. They needed to process, whatever. And I didn't want to give them an out. I didn't want to say, well, we'll be here next week. So you have 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks to think about it.
Right.
Until they're walking out of the booth. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To try and get that one last chance to see him again. So I'm hoping some of those leads from Houston translate into Woodland sales coming up here.
Yeah. My only thing that I'd throw out there to people is, we are all in this together, whether you believe it or not. And the kindest thing you could possibly do is if you can't make it, or you're going to cancel, just holding it.
Right.
This is not gin rummy. You're not hanging on to the ace so the other person can't use it.
Yeah.
Let the show go, because your backup show that you're hanging on to that isn't going to refund your money could be somebody else's best show of the year.
Absolutely.
That's not going to have an opportunity to drive there if you cancel day of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the kindest thing you can do to a show and
to our peers,
to your fellow artists.
Oh,
right?
Totally. Yeah, for sure. As of right now, heck, we're loaded up, so we're gonna go and we're gonna try and do it.
Hell, you're not just loaded up. You're loaded up and already in Houston.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Talk about 1 foot in the door.
1 foot in the door. One limping foot on the door. Coming back to
which
that.
would you say is get on the good foot? Which one is the good foot?
Just the good foot. It's hard to say these days.
Yeah. The rebuilt one or the other piece of shit?
Well, we've had a long talk here. We've turned this into a whole episode, but before we go, we've had a bunch of losses come through the art fair community in the last month, and I didn't want to end this episode without acknowledging some of the really great artists out there who have passed.
Yeah, we don't always get a chance to mention all of them, and sometimes we get to talking and we forget.
Yeah.
And we don't get a chance to mention everybody, but it is important, and some of those have hit pretty close to home, especially to this time of year.
Yeah.
So let's take a minute.
Michael Madzo. I mean, I was neighbors with him years and years ago, and I was a little bit intimidated. His work is phenomenal. To me, it's just the top, and such a wonderful human being. And it's just sad to see him go.
Man, you know what? I am not on social media as much as I used to be, and I didn't realize he had passed. I am familiar with his work.
Phenomenal work.
Real talent.
Yes. And just a really kind and generous human. And I just really, I was neighbors with him at one show, and it just kind of stuck with me that was a really good experience. I wouldn't say we were close or even we wouldn't go visit each other in our booth, but he left a really big impact on me. His work did anyway.
Yeah, and a huge impact on the careers of many, and made an impact on the street, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, huge loss.
And also I want to give a nod to Jack Forney, jeweler from, I believe he's from Indiana.
Yeah.
He was an amazing guy. And I have to say, years and years ago, I pulled into an art fair at Coconut Grove, actually, and I plowed right into his minivan.
Oh.
By all rights, he had the right to just lay into me. It was my fault.
Sure.
I got out of the van. I apologized. He was reasonable. He was just a kind human. We worked it out. Insurance took care of things. But it turned into a scene where, I mean, he was just a very nice guy. So
yeah. Those things make a difference.
Yeah.
And we've all been next to artists. And, I want to mention another one that we lost. I didn't realize that David Piper had passed away, and he has had a huge impact on
oh my gosh
art shows and his handmade shoes. He and his son have had this business for a while. I wanted to kind of give him a shout out. We've got Fort Worth coming up, and he was a staple.
He was
there for many years, and the way that show, wonderful show, the way that one works is artists can close at 8 p.m. right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome to stay open. And we have electric at that show. Or I'm not fortunate enough to be going this year, but they do supply electric, so you can stay open as late as you want.
Right.
The trick is that it's like moths to a flame. If you're the one light, all the moths are going to jump in. And so I had long since finished my dinner, gone back to the hotel, gone into the Blackstone courtyard, and gone up to my room, and I've got a view of the street, and I look down, and there's David Piper still fitting people with shoes.
Good for him,
just
man.
Working his tail off, just fitting and he's basically got a handmade shoe store, and he's trying, just big, like I could see the grin on his face from the 5th floor. And just working his butt off.
Just really attentive to the collectors wanting what he did.
Right. More power to you, buddy.
Yeah.
And rest in peace there, sir. You're a huge loss to our community as well.
True.
You got another one, right?
Yeah, right. And the last one, it's been a run of just bad news after bad news, as this one was a really close friend of mine. And he's actually one of my art fair heroes, I'd have to say. He's our age, so it's really hard to see a young one go like that. So Joe Christensen wasn't on the art fair scene for long, but he kind of evolved past the art fair scene. Ralph Lauren started collecting his pots, and all of his big pots were used in his showrooms around the world. And he just became a phenomenon. And he's been on the back of my mind as somebody I wanted to speak to on the podcast when the time was right. And it really eats me up inside to know that I'm not going to have that opportunity. So to his family and friends, I really send a heartfelt condolences. I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, we are. And the friends and family of all of these artists and members of our community that we've lost. I know that David Piper's son is going to continue the business.
Oh, so, good.
Hopefully he can lean into the friends and family there on the street. But we're all missing these great folks that were members of our community.
We're a community, we're a family, and we, you and me, we do this because we really want to highlight the amazing people out here and share stories and this is a sad ending, but it really is impactful. These people mean a lot to us, and we just want to, just send a hey out to them and their families.
So get out there and make an impact on your neighbor out there. Be kind to each other, friends, and we'll see you next time. Right?
All right.
I'll see you in South Lake.
We'll see you in Texas, my friend.
All right.
Another round in Texas.
Safe travels, bud.
Bye-bye.
This podcast is brought to you by the National Association of Independent Artists. The website is naiaartists.org.
Also sponsored by Zapplication. That's zapplication.org. And while you're at it, find us on social media and engage in these conversations.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast to be notified when we release new episodes.
Oh, and if you like the show, we'd love it if you would give us your 5-star rating and offer up your most creative review on your podcast streaming service. See you next time.